Welcome to the Giving Nook, where nonprofit leaders, fundraisers, foundations, and philanthropists come to talk all things giving and impact. I'm Courtney, founder of the Philanthropy Place, a nonprofit consulting firm and your go-to fractional fundraising partner. I've spent my career in the nonprofit space helping organizations raise more, stress less, and build fundraising strategies that actually work. And now, I'm giving those insights straight to you. Whether you're in the fundraising trenches, leading a nonprofit, or just curious about how to give more intentionally, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Giving Nook. I am so excited to be here today with my dear friend, Kim Stanley from Braden's Hope for Childhood Cancer. I can't wait to have you be the very first guest on the Giving Nook podcast. So thank you for being here, Kim.
It is an honor.
Thank you. Very excited to dive in today to talk a lot about your background and your history. And so I'd love to just start at the very tip top. I've known you for several years now. Would love to know and have you share with the listeners, how did you become the executive director of Braden's Hope? What did that story look like before and that journey too?
Oh, it's a great question, because not on purpose and really by accident. So I've always been in sales since I graduated from college a million years ago. And so I had a kind of a sales career, about 15 years. And the last half of my sales career was really cancer diagnostic space. I sold cancer diagnostic instruments for a large big pharma, Roche. And I loved my role. Loved my role. It really was one that I believed in the mission. I believed we were making a difference in the lives of patients afflicted with cancer. That was actually the mission statement that stuck in my head. Yeah. And I, had one of those life moments that my career took a different turn, and my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. So I was on the flip side of the table, and I was, road warrior, collecting all those airline miles, and it just came to a screeching halt because I obviously had to take care of her and her healthcare needs. Yeah. And so it was one of those things where it was like I was in the right line of work to be able to ask really good questions for her healthcare needs. And I couldn't believe that it took, a chance opportunity where I heard the founder of Braden's Hope speak at our high school. And she stood up to share her story, her son's story. And I listened to her share that, childhood cancer is the number one killer by disease of children under the age of 18, and that childhood cancer research was vastly underfunded. So my heart was already broken because my daughter had been diagnosed with cancer, but my heart broke again to hear those statistics, because I was like, how in the world have I been in cancer diagnostics and I had no idea? How in the world am I sitting here holding the hand of my 2-year-old who had been diagnosed with cancer and hearing that for the very first time? So I felt called to serve. That's really what it is. I felt called to serve. I felt connected to our founder's story. I felt connected to the cause. And because I was in that cancer space, I knew enough in the sense that I felt like I could ask good questions. Yeah. And I did. I just said, can I help? And I started volunteering for the organization. And I volunteered because selfishly, I wanted to connect with other families that knew exactly how I felt. I wanted to connect with people that I didn't have to say, my child has cancer and your kid has cancer. And we could just look in each other in the eyes and know exactly what we were going through. So it was really selfish. It was like piece by piece, kind of putting my heart back together, knowing that I was giving back in a way that was connecting to others and doing good. Sure. And then my family and I started a golf event. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. But we started that to help raise money, and I felt connected to the mission. So after years of volunteering, she's like, do you want to just work with me? And I was like, sure, why not? It was kind of
I
like
love
that. So it
Yeah.
was really not like a linear career path. It was more like my career was going one direction. I thought I would always kind of be like advancing my career in sales, and then it just changed, and it was meant to be. It gave our fight a purpose. It gave me a greater purpose in life.
Sure.
And it allowed me to kind of channel the pain that we were going through in such a really beautiful way. And, you know, when your family member, anyone is diagnosed with cancer, you are really grasping for hope, and you're grasping for anything. And Braden's hope was hope for me. And it gave me that that opportunity to not only receive hope, but give it to others. So
I love how you talk about it. And obviously, having worked with you at Braden's Hope for the last few years, I feel like I'm deeply connected to the mission, because prior to my consulting work, I actually worked at Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and there was so much research needed on the children's cancer space. It was absolutely astronomical how underfunded they were compared to adult cancers. I would love, if you don't mind sharing, a little bit more about Braden's Hope mission, because I know it's not your typical sort of, I say, like, childhood cancer space. You know, it's not your Alex lemonade stand. It's a little different what you all do.
Yeah. So our mission is pretty simple in the sense that it's to raise awareness and funds for childhood cancer research. Childhood cancer research only receives about 4% of the national funding.
Okay.
At least today. That landscape is shifting. And we're not sure exactly how that will look, but it's childhood cancer research is vastly underfunded. And we fill the gap for research because we can be a research partner in the sense that we have a very strong process for selecting research grants.
Okay.
It's a two-part process that we have a scientific review group that helps us to vet the science portion of it, but we also have a research review council that helps make sure it's a research and mission match for our organization. We partner with groups like Children's Mercy, KU Cancer Centers. We're looking at a national partnership with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia so that we're having, you know, greater reach for where we're funding. We try to fund different research of all sizes so that we're tackling traditional medical research, that's seed funding, so to speak. Putting things in the pipeline so that we're addressing things that need to move through and give better treatments. We're looking at quality improvement. So what kind of things can we do to improve quality of the care that kids are receiving right now? We're also looking at survivorship. We want kids to not only get better treatments, but we want them to thrive beyond their diagnosis.
Yeah, and I feel like that is probably a big undertaking with a $2 million annual budget, right?
It is.
I mean, that's a
It
lot
is.
of work going into trying to do granting out of awarding the research grants to specific people. What, on average, what does that look like? How much are you funding actually per year?
So it's varied every year so far, but this over the course of the next, and we funded $5.5 million to date.
Wow.
So $5.5 million to date. Over the next 3 years, we intend to fund over $1 million each year.
Okay.
So we're on track at the end of this 3 years period to have funded $10 million in research.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's big.
Thank
and
you.
I'm thinking about that, and it's like my mind immediately goes to fundraising, right? Okay, so you have this need, you have to fund things. What does your behind the scenes fundraising operation look like? You know, you're a small team of 5, by the way. I just want to say that because this is an incredible team of 5 women, women found, women ran organization who do obviously incredible work in the cancer space for childhood cancer. So I would love to just talk a little bit about like the fundraising side of things, high level, and then we'll dive into a few specifics.
Yeah. I'd love to tell you that there's like a super strict science behind it, but it really isn't. We try really hard. I mean, first of all, we are not nonprofit experts. We are not trained, people in philanthropy. Like we're really moms and or women who were touched by cancer. Either, we have breast cancer survivors, both our founder and one of our other team members, or just touched by cancer because they've encountered it in some way in their family. And so we are a lean team, to say the least.
Yeah.
We don't sleep, actually.
No
Sleeping.
No sleeping.
No personal. No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
It really does take discipline. It's one of those things that we've had to learn how to prioritize and really think through, like, what are the best ways for us to spend our time, our energy, to make the biggest impact for children and families who are fighting cancer. Because our vision is really to give hope to them, and give hope through research. So in order to do that, we've had to really think through, how do we make the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time? Because really 5.5 million, 10 million, it's not enough. It's not even close to enough.
Yeah.
And so we know that we have to look for innovative ideas, bold partners, people that are doing groundbreaking things. In order to do that, you have to bring in more money.
Yeah.
So we're really blessed in the sense that we have a way of storytelling and telling the stories of our own children, but also we try to honor all of the kids. I think about our why. I mean, we all have a personal why, but I think about, just last week I was able to visit with a networking group and share, the story of Jack. He's a high school senior, and he was diagnosed last September with Hodgkin lymphoma. And he's a swimmer, and he has been swimming throughout his entire treatment regimen. And he just took second at state the year before he took first. So he lost to a friend.
That is incredible.
It's hilarious when he tells this story. But he lost to someone that he admires. So he said it was okay.
Fair.
But his mom said that he leaves so much of his energy in the pool that it takes 2 of his friends to get him out. I mean, these kids are just remarkable. And so we really have, getting to tell his story and do it in a way that honors his fight. And do it for families like the family of Owen. Owen is forever 6. And he was diagnosed last November with a brain tumor, and less than a year later, he earned his angel wings. So it's like, how do we, honor him and their family and put them first? And so we work really, really hard. We also try to tell those stories and have a little fun.
Well, and you do a good job of telling those stories. And I've heard you say multiple times how in the early days of being involved with Braden's Hope, it brought you hope, right? As you were experiencing what you were experiencing. You all bring people so much hope through what you do. But one thing I would be remiss not to talk about is the Hope Gala itself, right? Huge event.
Our signature event.
Signature events.
Yes.
Very well known. I can't say this enough, and I will absolutely preach this from the rooftops. What you all accomplish with a team of 4 or 5 only, not like a fundraising team. I just want to be very, very, honest. This is not a fundraising team of 4 or 5. It is a full-on team of 4 or 5. And you all raised more than $1 million in that single night to be able to put that money towards research. So I would love to know what you think are some of the key factors that make it so successful, because that is very, very, you're in a class of your own.
Oh,
in that
that's
space.
very kind of you. I can't take credit for it. I can tell you that we have had it's a signature event, but it's also the very first event we really did as a fundraiser. I mean, they did maybe some walks in the beginning, but there from the beginning is a heartfelt group of people who sat around the table with our founder and said, we've got to do something. These were, just friends of Braden's. And they were like, let's do something. Let's raise some money. So it was just an army. I mean, they used to call it Braden's Army. They sat around a table and they just had this idea, let's just have a party. It was a party. The first year, I think they raised $60,000. So to see the growth and come out of it has been really remarkable. I think the storytelling, again, the impact and makes it really like an easy story to tell. And then, we honor the kids. The kids are the MCs.
Are they?
So that's a pretty special thing. We used to hire some MCs and they always did a really fantastic job. But we have these kids come in. I say MC, but they're just a big part of the show. They get up, they get to tell their story. They love it. The audience loves it.
So the kids are on the mic.
The kids are on the mic.
I love that.
Kids are on the mic.
That's so fun.
It's really, really special.
do they like prep for that in any capacity? Because I feel like that's a unique, I have not heard that as a part of a gala when you're actually, I've seen like fashion shows, et cetera, where we're, using different people to like actually show the kids off or do what, like really make them have a proud moment to shine. Yep. But having them MC their own gala is really exciting.
They get to come up. Many of them do the intros for, various guests that come up on stage. And they do a really good job. And honestly, I don't love being on stage. So like
you're like fine.
Having them, and my own daughter gets up there and I'm like, you can do this all the time. Yeah. Because they just have no fear. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about these kids that, we serve is they have no fear. Yeah.
They don't. And I'm thinking about it from that aspect of like, are they the ones, celebrating throughout the night? Like walk me through, what does the fundraising portions and aspect of the night look like? And then I feel so bad that I haven't been able to go yet because it's so important to me. This year right? I'm coming. This year I'm absolutely coming. But I think about it.
Choice. You have to go.
I'm being forced to come to this gala. I cannot wait. But I am excited to see, the actual magic happen. I feel like I've heard from people who've been there and you all have told me the magic happens at the beginning and it just grows throughout the night and people get more and more excited after the beginning cocktail hour and you move in through the night and then you have the overall number celebration at the end, right? Like what did we raise? We get to celebrate with everyone. Walk me through what the fundraising feels like for that.
Yeah, so the fundraising, a lot of the fundraising happens before the show.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So we are blessed with incredible community partners. Yeah. And in fact, like Kiewit is our presenting sponsor this year. They are our largest, I shouldn't say largest, but our longest running sponsor. And they've given over $2 million since our inception.
Well, shout out to Kiewit. Yeah, that's amazing.
Shout out to Kiewit. They are amazing. Incredible. They have made an enormous difference. And so having partners like that, that come back year over year, because it's really easy to see the need. Yeah. It's really easy to want to stay connected. Yes. And that's the other thing is we try to make connections throughout the entire program. So it starts by, opening it up. We always share Braden's story. It is an incredible story. The fact that he is a 3-time cancer survivor. His mom fought cancer at the exact same time. She had treatment options. He had no known cure. If you hear that story, you can't help but want to say, I want to make a difference for all children who fight cancer. Yeah.
And his mom is Delise, by the way, right? We haven't talked about Delise.
She's a dear friend and wonderful human. And she is mom to Braden. And he is one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah. And she's the reason, I say this. Braden is the reason that this was founded by Delise. Correct. And then she created this warrior army of all of you. Yes. And so does Braden ever have a moment where he's on stage? Like, does he return year after year or say anything to that? Yeah.
He has. He has some health complications. Okay. And he is, and not just him, but many of these children are immunocompromised for life. Yes. Because of the treatments that they received. Some of these drugs that they've received to save their lives actually destroy organs and make them tremendously susceptible to other things. And so his health is always first and foremost, but he has made some stage appearances.
I love that.
And he does a really good job. He does a really good job. We love it when he gets up
and
there.
And I'm just thinking about when we were talking about like sponsors that return year over year, they're also then watching Braden and like these other kids grow, right? Who are there to show like this is what's happening because of your dollars you're putting towards this research.
That's hope, Courtney. Yeah. For them to come back and see these kids come back year over year. That's hope. That's really what that is. And it's just awesome. It's awesome to watch. So it's, we have a team. We also have gala chairs every year. They are crucial to our success. They their largest responsibility is really just to help us fundraise and leverage their networks. Okay. And then we don't ask them to like pick the napkins. We don't ask them to do that kind of work. We just ask them to help us with, the network and invitations so that we have the right people in the room that will connect to the cause. We do our best to make it not feel transactional. Okay. Because it would be really easy to just be transactional. Yeah. Get a sponsorship, cut a check. I may or may not go.
Put my logo on a banner.
But we try to make it more meaningful than that so that they know what they're funding, and that they feel really good about where the dollars are going and who they're giving it to.
Well, and I think about that, and I know this from our conversations, you said that there's so many returning donors and returning sponsors every year. What do you think it is about the gala that makes them continue to come back? Is it the kids? Is it the story? Is it your research? Like, what do you think is one of the key factors? And I know that because I know everyone's always curious, like, donor retention's huge. You all do it well. There's a lot of people that come back every year.
I think it's the stories.
Yeah.
I think it's the impact that we're making. Our community, our research partners are compelling. Yeah. Children's Mercy has done a remarkable job. KU's done a remarkable job. And I think it's fun. It's a fun event. You come, we keep the pace moving fast. We try to have a quick program.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of these galas are kind of by the book, and we try to incorporate really great videos. We always honor a Hope family. So they have an opportunity to stand up and share their story. And that is just as meaningful for them as it is for those that are there that get to hear those stories. Yeah. In fact, I have kind of a unique perspective on that because I first attended as a guest. Then I attended as a Hope family. Yeah. And I've been now as an employee of Braden's Hope. So I feel like I have different hats that I've had on. And to see it from each different lens is pretty remarkable. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think about that leading into the summer months because your gala usually takes place in the fall.
Yes, it's always a fall event. So it's historically it's been in September.
Okay.
Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Yeah. This year we're trying October.
Oh, I love that.
October 4th.
Perfect. Yep. As we talk about a few other things, because I want to make sure you all do so much in the fundraising space. Again, there is something that's coming up sooner than that, which is something that you mentioned earlier. We were talking about the golf outing this golf event. Yes. So I want to take a moment to talk about Callan's course for Hope. It is the golf classic that you all put on. And I would, again, be remiss not to ask, what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, Callan was the inspiration. So Callan is my daughter, and she is now 13 and thriving and very 13 or 17, going on 21. I don't know.
Yes.
Very teenager.
Very teenager.
And so we started the golf tournament in 2017.
Okay.
She had been in remission when we started planning. She had been in remission for, I think it was like 2 or 3 years, maybe 2 years. And we started planning the golf tournament because I was like, why don't we plan a golf tournament where the golfers actually know what it is?
Yeah.
For. I volunteered at a golf tournament that we were the beneficiary of, and there was only one cart that knew what they were golfing for.
They're I don't know, I'm just out here to golf.
It turns out apparently that's what they do. They fair. Just golf in golf tournaments. They golf in golf tournaments, and it's not really about the cause. Yeah. It's just about golfing, which is fantastic. Okay. For some of them, but for me as a volunteer and having a child who is fighting cancer, I was like, I feel like we should just do this where the golfers come and they golf, but they know why.
Yeah.
And that it did some good. And they have fun, and we joke, they drink beer, whatever.
Yes.
But, so we did that. We started one, and it was really just friends and family. And we knew that we wanted to do something to raise money for childhood cancer research. We didn't want to start our own 501c3. So Delise and the team at Braden's Hope at the time, it was an enormous team of volunteers. They were all incredible. I was like, they've got this thing figured out. Let's just do this and give them the money.
Which also, I'm going to shout you out for that because this is something, not to go down a different path, but we have discussions happening in the nonprofit community of not needing to sort of overpopulate the nonprofit space. And I just want to call out the importance of what you saw was someone who has similar backgrounds, missions, had this organization created. And you said, instead of me creating something almost identical or similar, let me lean to this organization to partner with this. And that sounds silly to say, but I do have to shout that out because that's something that I am constantly finding myself sharing with Kansas City nonprofits, with nonprofits everywhere. But hey, look to who you can collaborate with, look who you can partner with. You weren't already a nonprofit, you were just you, right? And the golf tournament. Yep. But I think there's a lot of people trying to create new things where there could be, it's even stronger now because of the partnership and the collaboration you did. What, 13, or I guess how long ago was that now?
Ooh, well,
10?
this June will be our ninth.
Ninth year. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So that is like really, I think it just shows your fundraising savviness and the power behind that you knew even then, like there is this army of volunteers who would be happy to lean into this space and to take this, this golf tournament, and this classic now 9-year running event into a bigger, better space. Right?
Yeah, I think that I've always had that mentality of smarter, not harder.
Love that.
And I'm like, this lady's got to figure it out.
Fundraising
theme. She's going places. Like I knew it. I was like, she just needs some more like money. So let's just figure it out. And I don't think a lot of people know that there's like 11,000 nonprofits just here in Kansas City.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about Kansas City is that we all want each other to do well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And so there's so many opportunities to collaborate. And I think that is like, a future growth strategy is like those collaborations are key. So back to golf. The golf event, we were, I would say, wildly successful that first year. It was like $51,000.
Okay.
I think we raised $51,575.
Look at you.
Because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we just did that.
Yeah.
And I think my husband was like, oh, that was good. Yep, let's move on with life. And I was like, oh, we're going to do it again.
Yeah,
that'll be so cool.
He didn't know it was going to be 8 more
9,
years, 9, 10, 11. Yeah.
9 years later.
Yeah.
But it just started out as family and friends, and it's grown now. It's evolved over the years. And the way my brain works is, okay, we did that awesome. Now how do we do it better?
Yeah.
That's just how my brain works. It's really annoying to a lot of people. It's annoying to my family because they're like, well, it was good. Let's just do that same thing again.
We can do it better.
And I'm like, but there's probably a way to do it better.
Yeah.
And so we've just evolved over the years. And funny enough, I'll tell you this story too. That first year, it was a September event. And a month before we held the event, Callan's cancer came back. And it was one of those things where Delise called me on the phone and she's like, forget the golf tournament. Like, you focus on her. And I was like, forget nothing. I'm like, this is exactly why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, her the next course of treatment that she received, was able to put her back in remission. And she's been in remission ever since, which is fantastic.
Great news.
We're so thankful. But it was, Delise gave that grace, and then we just like poured into it, and she was all for it. We were all for it. So it was really, really great. It's evolved now. It's, we've got family and friends who are still coming along and they've been there every single year, but now it's evolved into more of a corporate event.
Yeah.
And we're very, very blessed.
And mission awareness. As you said, I feel like every time we talk about it, all of the golfers know why they're there.
Yes.
How much did you all raise last year?
Last year, we grossed over $200,000.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you have a date for this year?
We do, June 16th.
Okay. Yes. So if people are interested in signing up,
go to our website.
Okay.
For both gala and golf, actually. You can go to our website. Both, all the information is up there on the website and you can log in. Sponsorships are available now for both events.
Yeah.
And we welcome new sponsors. You will love it. It will pour into your heart, I promise.
I love that. And I know we talk a lot about it. It's coming up rapidly. So I just briefly want to mention you do corporate partnerships really well.
Oh, thank you.
One of them being Jersey Mike's.
Yes.
You do a Jersey Mike's Day of Giving in March, and that's March
25th.
25th.
Or
okay.
March 26th. I'm 26th? Sorry. It's the last Wednesday of March.
Okay. And tell me what happens on that day briefly.
So nationwide, Jersey Mike's does the Day of Giving.
Okay.
100% of what comes in the stores that day goes out to charities. And the local franchisees or all franchises get to pick their charitable partner.
That's incredible.
We have 15 locations that have chosen us this year. So it is the most fun day. And it truly is. Buy whatever the cost of a sub is now, $12.
Yeah.
To buy a sub, and it all comes back to Braden Soap. Last year we did $186,000.
Wow.
And this year they have big goals to exceed that. So we are really excited.
That's incredible.
Yes.
So we've been talking a lot about the amazing events you do, the corporate partnerships that you have that you do so well. And we haven't even covered like 4 or 5 of them. So that's a lot. It's a lot.
Go to the website.
Yes. You're like, plug. We have more. And we'll talk about a few of them. But as you sort of look ahead to the future of fundraising at Braden's Hope, I know everyone tries to leverage those events, those corporate partnerships, whatever that looks like, to actually launch major gift programs or build on their major gift programs. Where are you at in that process? And what does that look like for the future?
It's an ever-evolving process. So I don't know if you remember in March of 2020 when we had a pandemic.
No.
Yeah. That one was a doozy. And you couldn't have events.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of at that time we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We need to, are we sustainable without fundraising events? And the answer was no.
Yeah.
So we really had to take a hard look at what were we doing? What kind of partnerships could we develop that would bring gifts in that would help our long-term sustainability. And so it became like it was like at the bottom of the list, and we were like, strategic plan up at the top. Let's switch this up. So
it's good leadership.
Yeah.
It's good leadership. seeing into the future 5-10 years from now.
It's always good to get a pandemic to get you to see what you need to do for the future.
It's a good way to look at it.
But it's one of those things where we are expanding.
Yeah.
And that's an area of growth for us. So we intend to bring on a major gift officer. So
awesome.
One of the things, at least from a leadership perspective, is we don't want to be the smartest people in the room.
Nope.
And we are not nonprofit and philanthropy experts. So we know that there are wonderful people out there that know that space very, very well. So we know that we need to expand our team basically to take it to the next level. We're really good at building partnerships with corporations because we try to engage them all year long.
Yes.
Again, we avoid that transactional feel. So we have partners like KBP Foods who we do various things with them throughout the year, and they're very generous each year. Last year, I think they gave us a $50,000 check and their title sponsor for our golf tournament. So they kind of do a combo, but their employees like to volunteer and they like to tell stories. And, sometimes it's simple things like they make cards for the kids that we know that are fighting in the hospital currently. So it's little things that matter. And those are the things that kind of sustain those relationships and make them grow, and they stick around. And so they're a wonderful partner for us. And we know we need more of them. Yeah. So we're going to expand our team in 2025 this year. So note to self, brush up the resume, folks.
Yes. And with that, I mean, you're talking a lot about corporate partnerships, but I also want to just mention, you do have a lot of individuals who give to you as well, right? Yes. And I think it's like through those corporate partnerships, whether it's an event sponsorship or the thing that what's the fountain thing that you all do?
So we actually dye the fountain. It's like the Mill Creek Fountain.
Mill Creek Fountain. Okay.
We dye it gold in September. It's Very cool. Wonderful event. It's an awareness event. It's not a fundraiser. Okay. It is just an event where it's open to the public. Anyone can come. And Barron BMW is one of our partners, and they parade our Hope Heroes in the most amazing BMW cars, like all sorts of cars. And the kids think it's like such a hoot, and they get cheered at like a real parade. Yeah. And they get kind of the fanfare that they deserve. And so then we have everyone come down and we dye that fountain gold. It raises awareness for childhood cancer research and the need. And it's a wonderful opportunity to share with the city, and it's a really great.
People see it, right?
And people see it
that may
for
not
days.
Be part. I was gonna say
very
it's
yellow.
It's a great way to get individuals, not just corporations, to be like, what is going on here? What is this thing? Yeah. Where do I find this on? So it's like everyone's always curious when we have drive by, and I mean Kansas City is absolutely infamous for lighting up the skyline of downtown, depending on our sports team that's playing that week, right? Is it teal for the Current or red for the Chiefs or blue for the Royals? And I feel like it's really fun to see that you all actually dyed the fountain gold.
Yes, we want the whole city to turn gold in September. So
we're just making
the city, just a pitch for the city of we're open to all the buildings that can turn gold.
All of them. With that being said, I feel like we've talked a lot about different fundraising spaces. And again, I just cannot shout out enough what you all accomplish in the fundraising space with a team of 5. Do you have advice, like 3 things, 3 pieces of advice you would give to a nonprofit, no matter your size? I mean, again, you are a small but mighty team. What are some of those areas where you're just like, here are like 3 or 4 things that I can't recommend enough?
Yeah, I think that number one is be authentic.
Mm,
You know, we don't pretend to be nonprofit experts. We tell the truth, and we're transparent about what we do. Be authentic and tell your story. Storytelling is key. Tell the story of why it matters and who it matters to.
Have them tell their story also, because I feel like you do that really well.
Yes.
Have the kids tell their story.
If they tell their story, it's even more compelling. It's just that's a great way, and really any cause, any nonprofit should be able to do that.
Sure.
The other thing is not to be afraid to fail. You know, iterate.
Yeah.
We don't always put things together that work, and learn from it. Learn from what you did, and figure out a better way to do it.
And I feel like we talk about that a lot of, you know, that learning to be okay with failure. If your events are stagnant, if you're like, why are we doing this event again? It feels the same. Our donors are bored. We'll try something different. You know, it's like there's something about looking to others for, you know, that sort of ability to do what they do. And I think there's something that is smart about not trying to always recreate the wheel. And it's okay to copy things that worked well for other nonprofits in Kansas City, or, you know, nationally, if you see a big nonprofit like LLS do something in that space, like, okay, give it a try. Maybe it won't work well, but maybe it will. And what happens if it does? And to your point, I feel like what you all are doing is like, it feels like Braden's Hope is in this space in 2025, 2026 of innovation, of like building on the foundation that's so strong. You do what you do so well. And now you get to do things a little differently. You get to expand your team.
Yes.
Look at major gifts, do more fun things with events. And I feel like that's going to be exciting.
So much of our growth over the years has been organic and word of mouth. And I think that, you know, coming up with those new ideas and new ways of doing things just gives us more opportunities to connect with people. Yeah. And I think so much of it, that's what it is just building relationships and connecting and doing it in authentic ways and telling our stories. It's just, you know, this work is sometimes sad. It's hard. It is not easy. Some days, you know, you say I don't know if I can do this today, but then you think about who we serve. Yeah. And it makes it really easy to put one foot in front of the other and do all the work that needs to happen.
I love that. And for those who are sort of listening in, who are thinking about, I'm intrigued, I want to make a difference, I want to learn more, where would you send them?
Well, they can go to bradenshope.org. That's a great place to go. Donate millions of dollars. That is really
that's the major gift plan for the year. That's this pitch.
I just made the pitch. Really, that's what it is. No, you can donate, volunteer, join one of our events, either as a sponsor, as an attendee. Just get to know us. And your social media has been amazing lately. Yes. Yeah. We hired a social media coordinator, and she's doing awesome. A really great job. Yeah. Our director of marketing is incredible. Yes. Our team, we are just so blessed with such a great team. And like I said, there's a lot of work to get done, and we do a lot, but we have a lot of fun. Amazing. Well, I cannot thank you enough, Kim. Thank you so much for being here today as, again, a very close friend, a colleague of mine in the consulting space, and being a client of mine now for the last few years. Yes. And I know. Well, shout out for that, by the way. Thank you. Because you are remarkable at what you do, and you make nonprofits better. Thank you, Kim. Yes. Thank you. We could probably gush about each other for the next 3 hours. So we'll leave you here. But thanks again, Kim. I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for allowing me to share our story. And hopefully this gives someone out there inspiration.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Giving Nook. I hope today's conversation gave you something, whether it's a fresh idea, a new perspective, or just a little more confidence in your fundraising journey. If you're loving what we're giving, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you're feeling generous, a quick review helps more people like you find us. Want to keep the conversation going? Connect with me on LinkedIn or visit thephilanthropyplace.com, where I share fresh fundraising insights every other week. Here's to fundraising that feels good, works smarter, and changes lives. See you next time in The Giving Nook.